And Nathan, would you say we're living during a time of good-looking cars or ugly cars?
I'm on the fence on that, but I'm going to say they're uglier more than good-looking. If that makes us, they're not as passionate as they used to be, right? And that's kind of my issue.
Well, our friends at Jalopnik recently did a list where they asked their readers, what are the ugliest cars you can buy right now? And they put together 15 cars, so we're going to go through that list, Nathan.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about whether we think they're ugly or not, and then we're going to come up with our own list.
Yeah, I have a couple extras definitely to add to this, and I've looked at this list, and these are the readers, not the Jalopnik guys themselves. This is what their readers say, and you'll notice there's a trend that keeps repeating. But before we do that, Roman, I wanted to bring up something very interesting.
What's that?
Behavior behind the wheel.
Okay, what do you got?
So it's something that I just didn't really notice. My son pointed this out to me recently when I was driving him, that I do something because I drink a lot of coffee, right? And when I'm driving, I space the coffee away from my face when I know I'm coming up to a bump.
Oh, yeah. That's
Often.
smart.
And he says that I have a certain pattern to the way I drink my coffee, where I do a sip, a remove, a stare, a sip, a remove, and stare. And I'm thinking to myself, my kid noticed this? He doesn't even notice the fact that I'm bald.
So he notices how you're drinking
But he
coffee.
notices how I'm drinking coffee as I drive along in the car. So, I don't know, I was just kind of curious if you guys have patterns that other people have noticed when you're driving. I actually have noticed that my wife does something too.
What's that?
So when she hits her turn signal, on the rare occasion that she actually uses it,
Yeah.
she does the same thing. She hits her signal, then she looks to see if anybody's around her, as opposed to looking and then hitting their signal. I know that sounds strange, but when you look over your shoulder and to see if you're going to go into a lane, and then you hit your signal, in my mind, that's a little bit more, you're being cautious. Because if you hit your signal right when someone's on your flank, you might freak them out or whatever, so you wait until they pass and then you hit your signal, right?
Yeah.
She does the opposite. She does the exact opposite of that.
That's weird.
Yeah, that's just
So I do a couple weird things. I don't know if they're weird, but I know what I do. So for instance, when there's a zipper merge, right? Which apparently a lot of people don't know how to do.
And nobody knows how to do it. You let someone in front of you and they let it. So yeah, it's like a freaking zipper.
A zipper is you don't, there's a yield, but there's no stop. And people think it's a stop. But there's this long runway that you have to actually merge into moving traffic. And then people, for some reason, think that they can't do that. They can't accelerate. And usually, even if there's a lot of traffic, the traffic will move to let you in. Right? But people just come to a complete stop, and then 1,500 cars behind them can no longer move. It's just a silly thing. Anyway, what I like to do as just a nice reward is when somebody lets me in on that zipper merge, I just did it now. I just
a little wave.
I give them a little wave as a thank you.
I always wave when someone lets me in when I know it's a little bit of a hassle.
Yeah.
Or if I pulled into a lane and I could tell that they were moving real fast up on me and they didn't flip me off. So that's like their reward. Hey, thank you for not flipping me off and letting me in your lane. So
crazy thing here in Colorado, if you ride a motorcycle, which I do, all bikes kind of do a left-hand wave to each other.
Yeah.
Which sounds really kind of like part of the community, like a Jeep wave, until you've done it for like the 5,000th time on like a nice bike ride on the weekend, and you get really tired of it because it's like every time you got to look for more. You're now not enjoying the ride. You're waiting for motorcycles so you could wave to them. It gets a little out of control. And then if you don't wave, you feel like you're being a dick, right? So you have to wave. And so it actually makes riding a motorcycle in this state a little bit less fun. Not that I don't want to wave to you, but I really don't need to wave to every motor. I get it.
Why don't you just do 2 fingers up on top of your throttle? 2 fingers. There you go. I'm done.
You got it down.
Why do you have to drop it down?
You got to go down here.
You don't
like
go
a low
down,
5.
because then you're taking your eyes off the road. You motorcyclists, you guys are crazy. You're Knievels. What are you doing? I'm just saying. Anyway, I just wanted to bring that up. It's just something that my kid noticed, and it's like, wow, you noticed that.
I heard a really good quote on TV the other day. I was watching a mystery series, and in the show, one of the detectives was riding a Royal Enfield. Those are really cool bikes.
Oh yeah, they are. I've seen them.
And I'm not going to tell you the series because if I give you the cars, you'll probably know. So let's see if you can guess. So she was riding a Royal Enfield, and the lead detective, and this takes place in Europe, which is really cool. And I won't tell you where because that really gives it away. Drives an XJ, an old Cherokee.
Oh,
that's pretty cool, huh? It's in Europe.
Was it a diesel?
I don't know.
Because that would give it away.
There was one scene in the season this year where the headliner was falling down. And
that's about right.
That's about right.
Wow, that's really on. Yeah,
that's really on. Anyway, she makes a comment. He asks, like, why are you riding a motorcycle? And she says, and this is, I think, really smart. She says, 4 wheels are for the body, but 2 wheels are for the soul.
Yeah, especially when you get scraped up off the pavement. That soul is definitely
The
flying
soul's
up
gone.
to heaven.
The
Yeah.
soul is long gone. But I thought that was actually really insightful and
I
fun.
am thinking about getting my motorcycle's license.
Are you?
Yeah, I used to ride a long time ago. Yeah, I was thinking about it. My wife is forbidding it. But,
Oh, we are. We are. You know what you can do?
Huh.
You don't have to get your motorcycle endorsement. Get like one of those high-powered electric bikes. There's this weird gray space now. It used to be that like electric bikes were like regular bikes, and they were like governed to like 28 miles an hour. Not anymore, right? Like
yeah, you can go like 50 on
like
some
the
of these
K.
things.
Yeah, these are basically motorcycles for the road that people wheelie and ride on sidewalks. It's
Yeah.
crazy, and the legislation is not caught up with it. So if you want to basically ride a motorcycle, get yourself one of those powerful electric e-bikes.
I think that they're governed the same way anything that's 49 cc's or under.
They're not.
They're not even governed.
As far as
that way.
I know, it's kind of the Wild West.
Well, I'll tell you what I want though.
Yeah.
With a motorcycle, you're.
Or maybe it is, but I don't think.
I want the 2-wheel drive Ural.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Russian bike.
Yeah, I know what you're
With,
doing,
You know what I'm talking about? The sidecar.
Yes, I
that's
know.
perfect for someone who's unbalanced as I am, both
So
mentally and
this is
physically.
this is a copy of a BMW.
Well, I
the
can't
Russians
afford the
knocked
damn
off.
BMW.
Um,
That's a $30,000 bike, whereas in the Russian one I can get for about 10 grand.
Yeah, they're cool. I was talking to a journalist who went on a program to actually test drive the Ural from the factory.
Yeah.
So BMW had put this like trick differential on it, basically an open diff, right? But Ural didn't do that. So I guess
Solid axle.
well, like 10 journalists left the left the gates of the Ural factory, and about 5 of them ended up in a ditch because when they went to turn left, the bike went straight.
I hear you have to be very patient with left turns or something like that. And right turns, if you accelerate, it makes it easier or something. Well, anyway, it's just a distant dream. I have many others, including boats. So let's get on to this list.
By the way, one other thing I do when I'm really tired, I scooch up on my seat. You do that when you're like if you're on a long road trip. I kind of scooch up and kind of hunch over the wheel. I know that's not the best way to drive.
Well, no, I always
it kind of stretches my back.
What I do is, you and I, one thing, we sit very similarly with one exception is that you do the absolute maximum pressure with your lumbar, right? Like as if a basketball stuck behind your back.
Yeah, for me, a lumbar is just, without it, I'm absolutely miserable because I've got a bad back. I rolled a BMW into a tree, an M3 into a tree, and ever since then my back has been pretty hosed up. In fact, my spine is not straight, Nathan. It's crooked.
Well, we've all done that. Yeah, it's...
Wait, not...
But you spent time in the hospital after that
Not in the
accident.
moral sense.
Oh, okay, you mean like physically?
Yes.
Yeah, you actually were in the hospital for like time.
Oh, yeah. So it's pretty hosed up, so that lumbar support is hugely important. And you know what I hate? Here's another thing I hate. This is like if you're starting with a Roman and Nathan rant.
Yeah, well, why not? You guys like this.
I hate cars where they cheap out on the lumbar support on the passenger side.
That does kind of suck, doesn't it? Because there really isn't that much.
There was just something we had that had that, where it was on the driver's side, but then the second you got on the passenger side, it wasn't there. I think you know what I think it is? I think it's that Land Rover LR3 that Tommy bought. That we bought. Tommy's buying. I think that's got lumbar support on the driver's side, but not on the passenger side.
Well, because the British feel that everybody else who sits aside from the driver is basically a peasant. It doesn't deserve to be treated properly. So there you go. No lumbar for you. But see, what I do on a long trip is that the lumbar steadily goes up for me.
Oh.
So like because I use no lumbar because I'm a big fat guy, and so progressively as I push my back forward, it's like it changes the circulation and changes the way I feel as I'm going along. And you know me, I love going super long distance.
Yeah.
And I'll go 6 hours at a time.
You are a monster for that.
But I like doing that. The lumbar is just like eventually jacking it up, and I don't know why. That's what I do.
The other thing I love, we'll get to this. It's fine.
No,
These
fine.
people come on. You
can fast forward. You're fine.
Yeah, you fast forward, hang out with us, and have some fun. The other thing I love, and this is like a guilty pleasure of mine, right? Like some people love heated steering wheels, and in the winter, there's nothing better.
There's nothing better. I got it.
Wrapping your hands around a warm steering wheel. And then some companies like Stellantis, Ram, for instance, they do those wheels so hot that you
can burn an egg.
You can cook an egg out of it. And heated and cooled seats are really luxurious.
Yeah, it's nice to have. Yeah.
Right? But there's one thing I love more than that, and it's not massaging. I hate massage. You know what massaging seats are, right? They've got these little like bags that fill up with air.
Yeah, the bladders.
They're
The
little
bladders,
bladders,
yeah.
and they can fill up in sequence or out of sequence.
Yeah.
And every time I turn on massaging seats, all I see are these little bags going, right? I don't feel like anybody's massaging me. I just feel like these bladders are inflating and
Well, you can't pay them
deflating.
for full service either, frankly. So, sorry, kids.
So it doesn't seem like it's getting, anyway, I hate regular massages too, so it's not like,
Wow.
the seat anyway, what I love, the part I love is when they have the lower part of the seat that extends.
Yeah, BMW does that.
Yeah, especially when it kind of rolls out, kind of
I
leans
love
out.
that when they roll out. Remember the old school ones was just like a panel that you would
Yeah,
shove
there's
out.
like a little thing in between your legs, right? The little
Well, I think for
notch
tall
that
people.
you could open.
Yeah.
But I have this weird body where my legs and my body are shorter than, like, my body is tall, my legs are short, but the shortness in my legs is not. It's after my knees.
What's your inseam? It's got to be like 34, though.
Oh, it's
right?
tiny. I'm 32.
No,
Yeah.
kidding.
Yeah, no, it's
No,
tiny.
mine's 31.
Yeah, it's weird. Yeah.
Wow.
Anyway, I just love when I can, extend that seat cushion.
Yeah.
And that's one of the biggest problems I have with Chevy trucks, right? That seat cushion is not long enough.
Yeah, I think that they've addressed it a little bit.
They've gotten better, but man, it's
I
not
got to
good.
tell you that Chevrolet still. I mean, GM across the board. GMC and Cadillac are better, but they're more expensive seats, obviously, and they seem a little bit more cushy. But yeah, I'm not a big fan of Chevrolet seats. One thing I will say, one final thing for me though,
Yeah.
Mercedes-Benz does one thing I really like, but it's only on their convertibles. It's the air sock. Do you remember those?
Oh God, yeah.
Wasn't that so nice?
Oh yeah,
but only for winter conditions.
the air scarf, the warm scarf that blows warm air over your in the convertibles over the back of your neck. It's just glorious.
It's great. If you mix that with the massage thing, you don't even need a wife. You're just cruising along. You have this warm tendrils like reaching through your neck and giving you this wonderful feeling. And it could be below freezing outside. You could have the top down. People are looking at you like you're nuts. And at the same time, you have the massage seats going. It's bliss.
So you know how Nissan calls their seats
Zero gravity.
zero gravity? I kind of thought that was just a marketing term.
No, they're great.
But yeah, I just thought I was like being a jaded journalist. I was like, that's just a good name for just another basic seat. And then my wife recently had to fly to Chicago. Well, she didn't have to. She went to visit her sisters, and she needed to rent a car. And she rented a Sentra. And the first comment out of her mouth was, "Oh my God, I love the seats."
They're fantastic.
So maybe
but
I'm
only
wrong.
up
Sorry,
front.
Nissan. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I shouldn't have been a jaded journalist and called it a marketing term. Maybe it really is real.
No, I've always gone by, stated that Nissan seats, as long as you are, it's just the type of foam they use. That's all. It's a good foam. It's a very good memory foam, and it's very comfortable. They're smart to do that.
To me, forever the gold standard for seats was a Volvo. Volvo did just ergonomically and posturally, at least for my posture.
Yeah, for your posture.
Correct seats, right?
I always thought they were very firm.
And they had this concave head cushion.
That I liked.
That was just super. Where you just put your head back and you're like, if I do this for much longer, I'm going to fall asleep.
Yeah, that part I did like. Yeah.
And now the new, I think BMW and Mercedes, probably an Audi do this. They put little pillows, right? They have the head cushion
Yeah, but
and there's a
don't
little tiny pillow, the softest pillow. It's like
They're super soft, but don't they seem like they're going to discolor over a very short amount of time, especially the white ones?
yeah, they kind of hang there.
Yeah.
And but there's, I don't know, maybe you feel like they're filled with, they fill them with unicorn farts.
I was going to say something a little less, the tears of children, but okay, you want to go with unicorn farts.
Yeah, they're
That's
so comfy and cushy and.
fine. They're very comfortable cushion. I'm glad you equate that with unicorn flagellants. That's awesome.
Hey, I can I can pretend whatever I want a unicorn fart to be.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Okay.
It's a fantasy animal, so it's my fantasy that they fill those Mercedes cushions with unicorn farts.
Before we move on,
Yes.
I did want to also bring up, guys, thank you so much for your support on Patreon. You guys have helped us make this channel grow quite a bit. We're almost up to our 200th episode on both Talk and Truck, and that's because of you. So thank you very much for everything that you guys have done. It's a big deal for us. Plus, we're able to pay our mortgage. So yeah, thank you.
Yeah. And if you want to support us, just head on over to patreon.com/TFLcar.
Yep.
I was going to read you this email. You keep talking until I find
Okay.
it.
Well, how about I start the list as you find the email? We can
Okay.
always
Yeah, start
break
with
out.
15 though.
Okay, well, so we're going to start with 15 and move our way forward. Now, 15, Now, bear in mind, once again, this is from our friends at Jalopnik, and this is from their readers. They did a survey, and this is what they said. So this is not us. Number 15, in terms of the ugliest vehicles that are currently being built, Mercedes-Benz GLE 63S. I disagree on this 100%. I think there's uglier Mercedes out there. But what do you think? I mean, Mercedes-Benz GLE?
I think
it's not too bad.
I think the GL, any of the EQ vehicles that look like bars of soap, right?
That's different.
I couldn't find the email.
Yeah.
I'll get to it later. They're kind of not on the pretty. I mean,
but this is the GLE. This is
I think the GLE is fine. But
yeah.
the EQ, I'm going to go. This is the only Mercedes. I think the EQ sedans actually are okay. But the EQ.
The SUVs.
The SUVs are just, yeah.
It's the front end that really gets me on.
Yeah.
The back isn't so bad, but it's the way that's just a droopy, kind of melted on plastic type nose. Yeah, I know it's for aerodynamics, but honestly, this is Mercedes-Benz. They've made some of the most alluring cars ever, and yet they've done this, and I just don't find this to be passable.
And the other weird thing, like to me, the best of those is probably the EQS. And by the way, those are bargains, Nathan. I want to get one of those.
Okay.
The EQS rear-wheel drive now was like a year ago. If you bought one new, $110,000, $15,000. You can get those now for $70,000. They've dropped literally like $40,000 in a year or two. It's incredible.
You mean European cars drop in value?
Electric European Mercedes, yeah.
Say it isn't so.
Yeah. So it's also weird because I always feel like the exterior designers didn't talk with the interior guys because the interior on those Mercedes are just glamorous.
Yeah, I'm not sure how I feel about the Hyperscreen.
Okay, the Hyperscreen, forget the Hyperscreen.
If you go without the Hyperscreen, it's fantastic.
Exactly.
I agree 100%. With the Hyperscreen, I don't like it.
Those little vent controls.
Oh my God, they're beautiful. The way
they're so Art Deco.
Yeah, just angels designed those. So there's an imbalance that's happening right now. I have a feeling that Mercedes, unlike say Audi and some of the other companies out there, I think that they're just about to start on their new design path. And we're going to see that very soon because right now they're aware of the fact. I mean, I've even talked to their engineers like, yeah, we know people think our cars are ugly. So hopefully they're going to go to this next level very soon with the electric vehicles because they're building the hell out of electric cars.
And that, well, it wasn't a concept. It was a real car they built, the EQXX, I think it was.
Yeah, which gets an amazing range.
And that had a beautiful Coke bottle shape. And I'm like, well, why don't you go with that design language instead of the bar of soap,
I think there's a lot of reasons. It has to do with packaging and how they're doing it and getting it through certain types of crash tests and blah, blah, blah. But I think that they will improve soon. They better. The next... I totally disagree with this next one.
If you want an EQS, wait a year or two and that thing's going to be down to like...
Yeah, 40 grand.
Exactly.
So the next one here, I completely disagree with. I think it's a good-looking car. They say the Kia EV6.
Yeah, I've got a caveat for that, and this you're probably not going to agree with this,
okay.
But I'll explain the caveat. I just went home to get the drone, which I had left in the car by accident.
Yeah.
I had to bring it back, and I saw an EV6 driving down the road, and I thought to myself, "What a handsome car!"
Yes.
It just looks modern.
Looks Italian to me.
Futuristic.
Yeah.
And the caveat is, I think the EV6 GT is overwrought. I feel like when you turn it into a GT, right, when you make it much more track-oriented, it just becomes too much, right? You've got this very smooth, beautiful, flowing design, and then you start adding these, like, lime green brakes to it, because apparently...
I agree the lime green, okay, I'll agree with you there, but the rest of it, I think you haven't taken your Geritol today.
And then the other problem with the GT is I just think it's too much. I think that chassis can't handle all that power. I think they put the Tesla Model Y... performance into their sights.
Yeah.
But I just don't think the chassis is designed, so it's almost too fast. I know that sounds weird because we love speed and we love power.
I think it handles great though for an electric car.
It's heavy.
Yeah.
And the range isn't there in the GT.
I agree, but that has nothing to do with the aesthetics. This is all about aesthetics.
Yeah.
And I agree with you with the line. The green is a little weird. Maybe that has to do with being electric.
And look, dude, I'm getting old, and I'm gonna raise my hand. I'm getting old and comfortable, and I don't like those seats in the GT either. They're too and they're nothing compared to like a M3 Comp performance seat, right?
With that weird plastic thing
that has the ball plastic thing.
That made no sense to me at all, other than capturing your scrotum.
Yeah.
No sense.
And so I'm getting to the point in my life where I like to be comfortable in a car, and I'm not going to be tracking it. so I don't need all that lateral support. And let's face it, I'm a little girthy in the wrong direction.
Yeah, hello. I totally, yeah.
And those sport seats just hurt.
Yeah, especially if you think about who actually is buying these vehicles. Let's move on to the next one. Another one that I don't fully agree with, although there are some issues, and that's the Toyota, number 13, the Toyota GR Supra. Have you seen the FT, I think it's FTX concept version of that?
No.
The predecessor to the actual production model.
Yeah, beautiful.
Was awesome. Yeah. Beautiful looking, really, really nice. And then when they came out with the Supra, it was watered down. And I agree with people saying it's watered down, but at the same time, I don't think it's an ugly car. I think it's striking. It's just a little polarizing.
Yeah, my problem with the GR Supra is not the looks, it's the headroom. Once again, I do not fit, and the biggest problem I have, and this is a design...
I agree with you there.
This is a design decision where they made the roof kind of come down too far.
Oh, they taper back.
So when you look, you're looking on the side, you're looking into the roof instead of looking out the window.
Yeah, if you're tall, or even remotely tall, you have a hard time with it. Not only that, but I have to push the seat all the way back. I'm not as tall as Roman, yet the seat has to go all the way back, and when it's back, it squeaks. And that's been in every Supra I've been in.
Well, because it hits
it rubs against the bulkhead, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. And it's
unfortunate. Do that too.
Yeah, they do. But in this case, it's really noticeable, especially because that's a car that's really built to be thrown around a corner.
Look, I love the design of it because it doesn't look like a BMW, right? You get inside
True,
the thing,
it does not.
And everything is BMW, right?
Even the shifter.
The shifter is BMW, the radio is BMW, the steering wheel is BMW, so it's nice not to have a BMW-like design like a Z4 on the outside.
Yeah.
So I really think, that is probably one of the best-looking Toyotas out there right now in terms of sports cars. The GR Corolla is cool, but let's face it, it's basically just a hot hatch.
Phooey, I love it.
It's not bad.
I love it.
I saw one yesterday. Finally, I saw one in the wild.
Yeah, and it's striking with the blistered fenders.
It's not bad.
It's like an angry
But
terrier.
the Supra looks like there's actually they designed it to be sporty and fast.
Yeah,
the Corolla GR looks like a hot hatch, right, where you add a lot of blister and a lot of aero stuff to it to make it look fast, which it is. But it wasn't baked that way.
Well. Nonetheless, I don't think that the GR Supra should be on this list. The next one on the list, number 12, is the Tesla Model Y. And that's an interesting one because I've seen ugly ones and I've seen good-looking ones. And you know what it has to do with me?
What?
Color.
Yeah, we had.
There's only a few different colors.
So we had the red one. Yeah, it was like 6.
But the red one looks good.
We had the red one with black wheels. I think that looked good.
Uh-huh.
No chrome. I'm really sick of chrome, so I was happy that it was not chromy. Right? They got rid of the chrome in the last few years. Tommy says it looks like a dead fish.
There's other vehicles.
It's got that front that doesn't. It's just got that weird nose.
Yeah,
right?
the nose kind of. It's not the best looking. I still think that the Model S is one of the better looking.
I agree. Model S Plaid by far.
Yeah, it's a really good looking Tesla.
Yeah, Franz, I think you've done interesting work. It's certainly recognizable. It certainly has.
Well, Franz deserves a lot more credit than he gets.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Franz is the designer, but yeah, it's the problem with the Y is it looks like a tall, fat 3. And the 3 it isn't exactly a great looking car to begin with. It's fine.
So I think it's okay. You know what should be on this list?
The S is beautiful.
I think the X actually is
I like the X.
more ungainly than the Y.
I like the X.
Of course you do.
I do. We had the X. I like the X.
We had the Y as well. We had
I like the Y. You know what I like on the X? I like the door handles that touch each other. So, you know what I mean?
Do you like the Falcon doors?
I do.
I
like the Falcon doors, and I like the design where the door handles actually touch each other.
That part is cool, and the interior on the X is phenomenal, except for third.
And then I wish they hadn't got rid of that little active spoiler, right? That was really cool.
Kind of interesting.
So initially, it had a little spoiler that would deploy, and I remember the Corrado that had that little active spoiler too.
But see, on the Corrado, it was awesome. Because it was gnarly and tubular, as opposed to modern days. The thing is that Elon is our age, right, or around our age,
yes.
And he is stuck in the '80s, kind of like we are, with some cool stuff.
Yes, we'll get to the vehicle that looks like the '80s.
Yeah, and so some of the stuff he does was cool back then, but now most people are like, really?
All right, what's the ugliest deployable spoiler in history? I own that car. Actually, I own 2 of those cars. Well, one of them because one Only the turbo did it. The regular one didn't have the deployable.
Well, I'll say the coolest one was on the Porsche Panamera.
Yeah, Porsches have pretty cool.
Because that one came up and then it extended outward.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah.
That was
But
cool.
what was the stupidest one? It would only deploy, I'll give you a hint, it would only deploy 75 miles an hour, so if you wanted to deploy it, you had to use a little button underneath the console.
Was that the one that was up above the window?
It was above the window, yes.
Oh, what car was that? That was, I remember.
That was a new Beetle.
The new Beetle.
Had this it looked like a baseball cap that came up. Kind
of. But then later on, you could flip the switch and just turn it on whenever you wanted to.
Yeah,
but it was only on the turbo.
It would only come up.
God, that was such
at 75 miles an hour.
That was the original new Beetle.
Yes.
Oh, what a terrible car. Yeah, and both your mom and my mom had one.
Yes.
Yeah, well, that's a different podcast right there. The crappy cars our moms owned.
You know it's bad when, even when you have it deployed, nobody notices it.
Well, I don't really think it functioned the way they wanted it to. And, keeping the rear end of a front-wheel drive, well, whatever.
Those spoilers and all that active aero is back with a vengeance. The Porsche 911 GT3 RS. Did you see the active aero on that thing?
Yeah.
All the little, different body panels.
Oh, well, they're copying Mitsubishi. Hello.
Yes, they have the shark's teeth.
Yeah, the VR4. Are you kidding me?
And the whale tail's back, too.
Yes. I love the whale tail.
GT4 RS, that is a huge tail on that thing.
It is pretty damn cool. Let's move on, though, because...
those things don't do anything until you get 110 miles an hour, right? Active aero is not going to help you putting down the highway at 55 miles an hour.
It's not going to do damn.
No, it's not going to do
it. Really
is.
Just
make you look cool.
It's going to give you worse mileage. So the next one, I'm going to kind of add to this because this is kind of BS. Okay. Because this is the Lexus LM350. For those of you who don't know, that's basically a minivan that is not sold on our market.
That's a Japanese ATV.
Yeah, or the Toyota Alphard. But I will say I will replace that with my choice, which is the Toyota Sienna minivan, which I think is an extremely ugly vehicle, even though I think it's well made. And I like it. I would even buy one if I needed one for a big family. I hate looking at it. I just hate looking at it.
I think both that and the Honda aren't great. I think the
Honda's better looking. I think
the Pacifica is the best of that.
The Pacifica is smooth and I think looks better. And even the Carnival, the Kia Carnival is not too bad.
Yeah, they tried to disguise the fact it's a mini.
Yeah, they made it look a little bit like an SUV. I'll give them credit. So the next one here, Roman, you read this one because you have experience with this more than I do.
I have no experience.
Yes, you do.
Celestique.
Are you kidding me? You've been dreaming about
$300,000.
Yes, you want it.
Cadillac.
That is exactly up your alley.
Electric car.
Yeah, and it's on this list, and I think you disagree with it.
I disagree.
Exactly.
No. I have never seen it up. Here's an interesting story I'll tell you, which has to do with why I can't comment on this. So I was at the Chicago Auto Show when the new C7 came out. Now we're back. Not this. No, it was a C8. So
C8. Okay.
It was a C8. It was a C8. Yeah, it was a C8 came out, and I happened to see Peter Schreier, who came from Audi and then moved over to Hyundai and became the chief designer. Tiger Nose, he did all that, right? And I was curious because he's very German, right? He's very.
He is very German.
Drex is mainly in black, right, with very dark, designer glasses.
It looks like he's going to host Sprockets.
Yes, exactly. He's a designer. There's no doubt that if you walked up to the Hyundai stand and you saw him sitting there, you'd be like, that's the designer.
He's also ridiculously intelligent.
He is.
I hate to give him credit, but he's the smartest guy in the room.
Yeah, so I was like, hey, Peter, probably a little bit more formal than that, but I was like, what do you think of the new Corvette? Because I couldn't make up my mind. Right, the new Corvette's a little overwrought.
Yeah, there's a lot of bends and twists.
Yeah, I think it might be too much in some ways. But and he said something really interesting and I think very smart, and that is he really can't comment on it until he sees it on the road in traffic. Actually in its natural element, because that's when you can really tell the design of a vehicle when it's you can't necessarily tell the beauty of a tiger behind bars at a zoo, but when it's running across the
chasing after you as you're going through the savannah taking pictures of it.
Then you see the beauty of the muscles and the fur flying, and so
I understand.
So I don't know about the Celestique just for that because I've only seen pictures of it. I've never stood next to it. My issue with the Celestique is. And it's the same issue. Okay, Oh, okay, I'm
I
going to
knew
do
I
a
was
rant.
gonna get you
Here
going.
comes a rant. All right, here comes a rant.
Buckle up, guys.
All right, buckle up. Why is a GM and why is Ford building $300,000 cars? I like what the GTD Mustang.
Yeah.
Right. Why is Ford now competing with the 911 GT3 RS? Ford, if anything, their DNA is building the people's car, right? The Model T, which we bought.
Yeah.
So why are they, prancing around trying to build a competitor to a 911? That's not in their wheelhouse. I mean, I get it that Jim Farley likes racing. He's a racer.
He is a racer, yeah.
And I get that I get this thing where you want to build like a Halo car.
That's what.
But they already have a Halo car, right?
Well, they had it. It's gone.
Well, it's still being. I mean, they're still building them. They're still. I don't think it's.
I think they're
I think this year's the end of it.
Yeah.
But it's they have one, and it actually harkens back to a moment in time when they beat Ferrari at their old game, right?
Yeah.
But why does Cadillac want to try to compete with Rolls-Royce, and why is Ford trying to compete with Porsche? I just don't understand. I think that money would be better spent, figuring out, how to. Like a million better ways to spend that money than building these like very one-off cars. And the problem with both of those, Nathan, is the people who buy those aren't going to be buying. Like if you buy a Cadillac Celestiq, it's not like you're going to be like, hey, you know what? I'm going to go get a Bolt myself, right? They're not like typical GM buyers. They're not. Sometimes I think preaching to the choir is good. I know you're trying to do like companies always want to do conquest sales.
Yeah.
Right, but you're not building a business by conquesting buyers from Rolls-Royce unless you plan to turn the whole company around and make it into a low production, high-end car manufacturer.
Which it used to be when they used to, especially when you used to use bodies by Fleetwood and some other things.
Okay, all right, 16-cylinder Cadillacs.
Yeah, V16.
But those are long in the mirror.
So
in the rearview mirror.
I'm going to put a little pin on this by adding one little thing that I wrote.
Go for it.
Ford is building $100,000 trucks.
Sure. I was just listening to Tim's podcast. You know Tim from SUV Truck and SUV Talk.
Oh, the short guy.
Yeah, Tim Esterdal.
Sorry, Tim.
Hey, Tim. Yeah. So I was just listening to his podcast, and he asked this really interesting question. And I get the sentiment, but the question was kind of funny. He asked, when will truck manufacturers stop building expensive trucks?
And when buyers stop buying them.
Exactly. I mean,
the answer's already there.
Like the reason that they're building these trucks is because
there's an audience.
There's an audience, right? Mm-hmm. If you're the owner of, I don't know, let's say an oil drilling company, you're the big honcho boss in Texas, and you need a big old truck. And it's a write-off, then $100,000 probably isn't going to...
It's not a big deal, and it's better than driving a Rolls-Royce.
But they have that, right? There's nothing... How do you go from selling, I don't know, pick the Cadillac... What's the most expensive Cadillac?
Right now?
Yeah.
Probably...
Like an Escalade, probably.
Yeah, the Escalade, the big one.
How do you go from like an Escalade?
Well, that's over $100,000
to a $300,000 Cadillac Celestiq. That jump is way too much. I get how you go from an $80,000 truck to a $100,000 truck, or even a $120,000 truck, because you have that audience. But Cadillac does not have that.
You know what other audience that Ford has? They also sell these little tiny things called Mavericks, and they're so popular that everybody wants them. So I think
good point. Hey, take that money that you're putting into the GTD Mustang.
Yeah.
I'll let you finish.
No, that's okay. No, that's
I apologize.
No, that's fine.
And put it into like building Broncos where people are waiting for them for over a year now.
Yeah.
How about doing?
I would agree that their resources maybe could be spent doing other things. However, one thing you have to keep in mind is that the racing branch of Ford is circling around this whole pond, right? And so that is where they're focusing this particular vehicle that you're talking about. Whereas in Cadillac, that's a different story. Cadillac is looking for conquest sales, and they're also looking to increase the size of their footprint when it comes to electric vehicles. And so having these vehicles, and they're only going to make a few of them, that are out there on the road, they're going to be able to throw them out there on their commercials, they're going to be able to throw them out there on a billboard, and you see that, and you're like, ooh, then you suddenly buy the next... Because Cadillac is going to be building less expensive electric vehicles in the future. That'll cost $50,000 or something like that.
Well, I mean, they are doing the Celestiq.
But the
Lyric, sorry.
The Lyric,
Yeah.
but there's going to be cheaper ones than that. And that's
think.
coming.
We haven't seen
No. They've announced it. They announced
I'm saying
more.
we think they're building Lyrics. It's hard to say.
Oh, it's hard to. Yeah. No, I've seen them in
Flash.
California running around.
But okay, so maybe that makes sense for the Celestiq. But Nathan, the Mustang already has a top dog. It's a Shelby. And forever, the Shelby has been the top dog. And it's been mainly about straight line speed, right? Drag racing. I don't think people who are buying Mustangs are looking at going and taking them road racing.
Oh, I completely disagree.
I think there's a small minority of people who are going to take them road racing, but I think if you're going to go road racing, Mustang is not going to be the vehicle. And I kind of have a good reason for that, and that is because Chevy tried to do that with the Camaro, right? The Camaro, and I've been on the track in the Camaro, especially the current generation, was very much track focused, and yet it died.
It died for many reasons. A lot of that had to do with the design of the vehicle and the fact that they didn't upgrade the right ways, and also it was too expensive at some point in time. And they just didn't do the proper ROI with the research that Chevy did, as opposed to Ford, who looks at the Mustang and says, we can cover the entire spectrum by building X, Y, and Z car, which is why they do it. And to be fair, Ford has been building track-based cars like the 302 Boss and a lot of those other ones for years and years and years. So we're getting a little off topic here, but
the 350 is very track-based. But once again, it's to me Mustangs are
this
quintessential muscle cars.
This other monster Mustang that they built is a completely different creature. This is basically an LMP car.
Yeah,
it is
built by Multimatic.
Yeah, it is a completely different vehicle. So I'm gonna.
All right, let's just jump to number 9.
Yeah, it's too easy to sit here and talk about it all day long. The Ram ProMaster is number 9.
It has a really big overbite.
It does have a really big overbite, but it's also completely functional. The reason the headlights and the bumper are built that way on the Ram ProMaster is specifically so in traffic, if you bump into something, those components can easily be fixed. That's why the headlights are so high.
Sorry, it's an underbite.
It's an underbite, I guess you could say. So all of the lower components on the front end, the reason it's built that way, and it's a Fiat design, I believe, is specifically so if you nail it when you're doing deliveries and everything else, you can easily replace those components.
Have you ever followed one of those?
Huh?
Have you ever followed one of those, like been behind it?
Yeah.
There's like this suspension member that comes way across.
Yeah, that lower component.
It hangs down like, I would say like 5 inches from the ground.
Yeah, it helps keep the rear wheels exactly where they're supposed to be.
It's just so funny looking because you're like, if you run over a box, you're going to drag that. And forget about going off. I've seen actually people modify those into overlanders, and I'm like, how are you going to do that with that bar?
Yeah, it's not the best thing to do, although they do have an all-wheel drive version of it overseas. Which, of course, we're not getting here because not enough people are interested. And if they do bring it over here, then it'll be ridiculously expensive. I mean, the ProMaster does look silly. So did also, like,
it looks Italian.
Yeah, but I mean, look at the Nissan NV200. I mean, that little thing was
uglier.
It was really ugly, but it was functional.
What was the what's the Fiat version? What's the
Duplo?
Duplo or something?
Duplo?
Yeah. It's very. You can just see it like running around like Rome, with like I don't know, grocery getter kind of.
I mean, they did what they're supposed to do. Oh, you're talking about the little one.
Yeah, the little guy.
Oh no, this is the big one though.
I know this is the big one.
Yeah, the big one is.
I mean, I can see how the country that came up
they
with
have to
the
sip their espresso while they drive.
They came up with the Ape, right? The ape.
Yeah.
Ape, right? The little 3-wheeled.
I love the stuff that the Italians do.
But you can see the Ram Pro. That's like a direct. Like you can see the lineage that goes from Ape to Duplo or whatever the hell.
I think it is Duplo. It's Diablo. It's the Diablo of Vans.
Let us know in the comments. I'm sure we're getting.
Yeah, we're screwing it up. Of course we are.
I'm sure.
The next one here I don't agree with on either side, even though I know that both of us aren't thrilled with the vehicle itself, and that is the Toyota BZ4X and Subaru Solterra. I don't think they're ugly. I think they're unusual, and I kind of like the fact that they look different.
They look a little smart car like, where you've got these
Smart car.
Yeah, they got these. Smart had these panels that were different colors that you could swap out, and those have those like different big panels like on the front wheels, right? They look like they're put together in Lego blocks a little bit. There's a little bit of Lego-ness to them.
There's a lot of lines that run. There's not a whole lot of curvilinear, I can't pronounce it correctly, lines that go throughout it. It's very angular and...
I can't even get... The style to me is irrelevant because the cars are like one generation behind.
They're compliance cars. Is just simply what I call them. I don't hate them. I just don't love them.
I'm surprised that Toyota actually did this with Subaru, because it feels like, too little, too late. I mean, I would have loved to have seen Toyota, and I think it's coming right now. There's a rumor that the FJ is coming as a new
Toyota is on it. They've got a solid state battery tech that's coming out there. They're really on it right now.
But you want your first electric car to kind of, be the moonshot.
Yeah, it was underwhelming, I'll say.
And not be the the follow up to like other vehicles that are way ahead in terms of technology. So the styling to me is irrelevant because the car itself doesn't charge quick enough, doesn't have enough range, doesn't have enough battery. It's just, and it's selling. Ironically,
no, they are selling because they've got some really good rebates. The funny thing is that if this car were built in the United States and sourced here, then you would get your federal rebates and all that other stuff. And it's not, and yet people are still buying them. Which I think is a little unusual, but
I think people buy it based on Toyota's reputation for reliability.
Yeah, but I'm going to say this about the car itself. It's on this list. I guess some people just don't like the way it looks. I don't dislike the way it looks.
Plus, also the name is horrible. It's like
the BZ4X name is terrible.
Like they took dice and put 4 letters on them.
No, isn't this Elon's name? Elon's kid's name?
It could be. Yeah. They just
BZ Epsilon something.
16-sided die with letters and numbers. Just threw it on.
Yeah, like a sign, just like Prince.
Oh, I got a B. Okay, B. Roll again. Got a Z. So I know what it means. It means 4-wheel drive.
It's not. Yeah.
Beyond blah blah blah. Beyond zero 4-wheel drive. Who gives a rat's ass? It's stupid.
Yeah, it's really not the best. Toyota could do better with names. Yeah. The next one, once again, I don't fully agree with this. Is the Chevrolet Silverado? Yes, I know this is a car talk thing, but it's on the list there. There's actually 2 Silverados on this list. And I don't agree with either of them as long as it's the right trim.
So, I think for a while ago, Chevy came up with this, I think there still was Tom Waters who did this.
The fist
into the wind, and then the heavy duty, tripled down on that, where it just looked like it was a Silverado eating a Silverado.
Yeah, it did look angry.
And it's on the list. It's number 5, the HD version of it. So the HD version of it is a little bit overwrought. I actually think the regular Silverado is a very handsome vehicle, and with any styling,
with the Trail Boss trim, I think it's really good looking.
Yeah, and with any styling, it's got to be a little controversial. It's got to be a little bit ahead of its time.
Right.
And I think the square body, which I bet you if we were doing this back in the day, we would be like, that is just the squarest, ugliest thing, and now everybody wants them. So maybe 20, 30 years from now, that design language will grow on people, and people would be like, that's kind of unusual. Or maybe not, I don't know. I don't mind it.
It's interesting because the one thing I like about the big 3 with their trucks is that they're all styling very different. And I like that because you don't look and go, well, that Ford looks a lot like a Chevy. I don't see that. Although the heavy-duty trucks sometimes do have a little bit of a similarity to them, Chevrolet, I think, just does something unique with their trucks, and they look different from every angle. So there's that. But the other side of it is, if you get the ones that are like the base models, work trucks with the skinny wheels and tires, they do look a little ungainly to me.
Completely agree, Nathan. Yeah. Number 6 on the list, by the way.
It's not the first BMW.
Yeah, the Chevy Silverado is number 5, so we'll skip that. But number 6 is the BMW i7 M70, which is the electric 7 Series. I don't mind it. Once again, we could spend this whole show talking about BMW styling, and
they're all over there.
I have some comments about how way out there they are. I remember when Chris Bangle was doing the styling for BMW.
Yeah,
the Bangle butt,
the molding flame or the flaming butt or whatever he called it.
Right. Yeah, like flame captured in metal. The smartest thing I read about that was they had to break the design language of BMW before then, so that they could set off in a new direction. Maybe this is what they're doing here. Maybe they're just completely breaking the design language. What people, of course, hate is the big nose.
The nostrils,
yes.
Beaver teeth.
Yes, the beaver teeth. Yes, they are very prominent.
Yeah, well, it dominates the design, and unfortunately, for instance, we're looking on the screen right now. That is the X. What is that? The
XM, I think.
XM. Okay. Now the XM, I like.
That's number 2 on our list since we're there.
I like the profile. I do. From the side, I kind of like how blocky it is, but I can't stand the nose. I can't stand looking at the nose of it.
I kind of feel like they designed the car for a Bulgarian gangster. Right? I mean, that just looks like it's a lot, Nathan. It's just a lot of everything.
It's overwrought, I'll say that.
A lot of angles, a lot of colors, right? Because at night those nostrils light up. It's
just what I want.
It's got that moon roof, right? Where it's got like Rolls Royce does, where you
can stars.
Yeah, it's just a lot. They threw everything in the kitchen sink at it. I just think I was at a BMW dealership recently, and I asked them if they're selling the XMs, and they said no, they're not really selling. And I'm not surprised at $160,000. It's a lot of money.
The tech is amazing. Like BMWs, you know, they drive amazing. The tech is amazing. It's just that visually terrible. Terrible. And I'll get to the other ones in a minute because there are others on the list. But I want to go to number 4 on the list because this is another one that really depends on the trim, I think. And that is the Jeep Grand Wagoneer.
Yeah, one of the commenters on Jalopnik on the story, which did come from Jalopnik, so check it out, guys, said it looks like 5 different cars smashed into one.
I don't disagree with that.
No, I don't.
I don't. I actually.
Well, the problem, look, here's a couple things about the Grand Wagoneer. First of all, they did body color like B and C pillars.
Yeah.
Most B and C pillars, right? A pillar is the front, is where the front windshield is, and B is kind of, you know, behind the driver's head, yada yada. You know what they are, but they did body colored. And when you do that, you run the risk of basically designing an airport shuttle van.
It looks very
with big glass.
yes. It looks a little bit like a Suburban, you could say. My problem with it is I have 2 issues. One is the wheel arches are too small.
Yes.
So the wheels look tiny on this stretched vehicle. Another problem is there's the Jeep Grand Cherokee that exists. And it looks too much like a Jeep Grand Cherokee, which in my mind means that when you buy this, you have to squint and go, oh yeah, that's the other one. And they're completely different in terms of under the skin.
They just dropped the V8 out of the Grand Wagoneer.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, they're almost done with their V8s with Jeep at this point. Do I care?
Yeah, you care.
No, well, I haven't driven the Hurricane yet, so I got to drive the Hurricane and see how that is. But with that big V8 they had before was awesome. If you look at the one with the big wheels that kind of fill out the arches and the big tires, it's okay. The one that was at the Easter Jeep Safari looked great.
So I've got 2 stories, and none of which are grand about the vehicle.
Okay.
I'll tell you both. So the first story, Jeep was kind enough to lend me the Jeep Grand Wagoneer, like the upper trim, you know, with the 7 or maybe more screens. Remember that?
Yeah.
It's got like
beautiful interior.
Beautiful interior. Yeah, it looks very upmarket. Like they basically went after Range Rover.
Oh, easily.
Yeah, easily. Yeah. And I was really loving it. I was driving it around. And then I go to park it at the hotel, and this like 80-year-old guy comes up to me and he goes, "What is that?" And I go, "That's a new Grand Wagoneer." He goes, "Can I sit in it? I love that thing." And you know, like an 80-year-old guy, you know what I mean? If it had been a young lady, for instance, I would have been like, "I'm getting one of these tomorrow."
Right.
But the 80-year-old guy with like white shoes and golf clubs. Like if it's resonating with him, it's a red flag.
Oh, I thought he would get angry at it and throw his colostomy.
No, he loved it.
He
was like, "This is the most beautiful vehicle I've ever seen." And I'm like, "Oh."
Okay. Well, but he is one of the
target
people
demographic.
Yeah. And think about how expensive they are. They're really, really pricey.
Yeah, he almost swooned. And then the other story I've got, Mark Allen, who used to be, you know Mark, right?
He's our guy.
The chief designer.
Former chief designer.
Yeah, he retired and has left. I still think he should
work for us.
Sure, yeah, Mark, come work.
I already offered a minimum wage. He hasn't called me back yet.
Yeah, Mark, feel free.
Minimum wage in Boulder is really good.
You could do this list. You could actually critique these cars much better than we can. But anyway,
he's a lot smarter than us.
When I was there when they unveiled this, and Mark was very keen to point out that he had nothing to do with it.
It's pretty damn funny when you just like you see them kind of pull back and go, "Oh no, I'm sorry, that's not my department. That's not me." I just
or very little to do with it.
Yeah, but I've seen a ton of them on the road. They're selling. They really are selling, and it's no surprise. And they get terrible mileage, but they drive. They're sweet to drive. And we've taken one off road. There's actually a video. Go to alltfl.com and you can find that video there. It did well.
All right, let's do one more. We'll do number 3. We did the number 2 is BMW X7. Number 1 is BMW iX. We kind of talked about
pretty much everything BMW that has large snouts is on here.
All right, number 3. This is kind of stealing Andre's thunder from the truck channel, but the Tesla Cybertruck. What do you think? Because that's, by the way. Did you know they missed their deadline again?
No.
Yes, Mr. Musk promised that they would be delivered
third quarter, right?
Third quarter, and we are now in the fourth quarter.
Well, they're out there on the road. Actually, you guys got a video of one that's
alltfl.com.
Yeah. For those of you who are listening, alltfl.com. What you'll see there is images and I believe a video.
Well, that was the little thing I was trying to pull up. Some guy had actually put a comment that, we said they're not doing deliveries yet, and the rumor is that October 26th they're going to have a big delivery like party for, invited guests, not media because they don't like media. And then one of the comments was, my friend already has one. And I'm like, I replied, I'm like, send me a picture, dude, with your friend next to it.
Yeah.
Right, there's so much, God, guys, if I really, one more rant, last one before we
Stop
get
BSing us.
Yeah, guys, we live and breathe cars and trucks. This is our world. This is
including EVs.
This is all we do, and especially all of you Tesla fanboys, please knock off the BS. Like where you're just completely brainwashed by Tesla propaganda. First of all, Tesla does not have a PR department in America. They have one in Europe, but not in America.
Yeah.
So the stuff we glean is hard because there are no press releases. There's no press website. So me and Andre in this video we're talking about the various payloads, and everybody's like, "Oh, it's gonna have the greatest payload ever," and I'm like, we don't know what the payload is. They have not announced anything. The only thing they announced officially was that it was going to be sold. What was that? Oh yeah, 4 years ago, Nathan. 4 years ago. That's what they announced officially. The other comment, right? This thing's going to sell because it'll never rust. Hey, dude, you know what else doesn't rust? Aluminum. And what other vehicle, what other truck is made of aluminum?
Well, Ford F-150.
Yeah, of course.
The outside of it is.
But you see what I'm saying?
I see exactly. I'm not disagreeing with you.
The comment was like, "Oh, this thing's going to sell because it won't rust." First of all, everything rusts, entropy. Everything eventually falls apart, even aluminum. But dude, the Ford F-150 has been aluminum now for like 5 years. Come on, if you don't know. The other comment was, I guess they did a video. I didn't see this where they parked it in a garage because it fits in a standard. Nathan, what is a standard garage? What building size is a standard garage?
Yeah, I know, seriously. There's an awful lot of pickup trucks that do fit in garages too. Here's another important point. Here's an important point, Roman. Mr. Musk said that this thing would float and that it could be used as a boat temporarily. So, I challenge you, for the guy who says, "Oh yeah, my friend just got one," put it in an aqueduct and cruise across it. Send us a picture, please. Take video too. Right now, there is a vehicle that the Chinese built that is available, that you can buy, that is amphibious, and it's electric. So let's see it happen with the Cybertruck.
Well, hold on here, Nathan. First of all the cars will float for a time.
For a time.
Yeah, for a time.
I don't know. There's certain ones that I think are going to sink to the bottom very quickly.
But as long as you can keep the water out of the cabin, there's enough buoyancy with the air in the cabin that most vehicles will float until, of course, the water displaces the air.
Yeah, but I mean, but having a vehicle that actually has a boat mode where you can actually cruise around, and the whole point is that it won't eventually sink. That's a different story.
But let me get back to this commenter. I'm so like, it's bugging me so much. He's like, but Tesla said it'll fit in a standard garage.
Yeah.
How many full-size trucks have you seen in the garage?
A few.
Really?
Yeah.
But I mean, we've owned every full.
My garage can hold a full-size truck, though.
But your garage also probably has a bike, and probably has a whole bunch of other stuff. Where sure, if there was nothing else in the garage, and you drove that vehicle all the way to the wall. And by the way, the guy with what's his name, Rivian Dad, he actually cut a hole in his garage, and the snout of the vehicle pokes out the back.
I've seen people do that with bumpers too, like cut a thing so the rear bumper can actually fit in.
And that's a Rivian in a standard garage,
right? But
which is smaller.
Yeah, no, my garage. I mean, I have a full size house. And,
have you ever put a full size truck in your garage?
Yes, I have.
What truck?
Yeah, I put a Ford F-150 in my garage, and it was basically the same exact size as the Lightning. And in order to do that, though, I had to move. I have tool benches that have wheels, so I had to move those out of the way, and I had to park it at a slight angle, so nothing else could fit in there in order to get into my garage. But I have a good-sized garage, though, and I think it's slightly standard, larger than standard. But there's a point here. My vehicle fits in any garage, and I have a little tiny baby pickup. And the whole point about those things is they're cars, basically.
They're cars, yeah. Look, I have a huge 3-car garage, deep, wide, and I have put a pickup truck in there exactly once because it's such a pain in the butt. First of all, the first thing that happens is that little thing that hangs down right from your garage door opener.
Yeah, it slaps the top of the truck.
Slaps the top of the truck and slaps the...
And it can get caught, too.
And it can get caught. If you have a roof rack, it's going to get caught.
Yep.
And then you loosen the garage door, which then comes slamming down.
Yep.
Anyway, you go ahead, dude. You put I want to see you live with a full-size truck.
Okay. So I want to put this out there. Now, by the way, even though we're hating on the truck, and it's
I'm
on
not
this
hitting a
list.
truck. I'm
No,
hitting
I
on
am
the
because
commentary.
I can't stand looking at it.
Okay.
There's a very popular rumor that the designers at Tesla actually built an alternate design that was ready to go if Elon finally changed his mind, and so they would come out with something a little bit more conventional, usable, aerodynamic.
No, it's the other way. I actually talked to Franz about that.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, at the launch. He actually, apparently, he came out with like 3 different designs that were in the same design language of the current Tesla vehicles. And Mr. Musk would come into the office and say, no. And then
Well, that's what I'm saying. But they reserved one. They kept one in case he decided to change his
But
mind.
I don't know about that.
Yeah,
but,
that's the
but
recent
they
story.
drew a bunch, and he was like, no. And then finally, Franz like penned this dystopian Mad Max vehicle, which is now the Cybertruck that we know. And that's my biggest problem with it. I know that it's fun to be a 12-year-old in 1980 and watch Mad Max and see this world where, the vehicles are all these like crazy things. But who wants to live in that world? Who wants to live in a world, Nathan, where you have to have a bulletproof vehicle?
Oh, I do, because then I can wear pads and have a mohawk and have like a hot chick on the back of a bike and everything else, and like she's all like angry and scarred. Yeah, that's what I want.
And then you're being chased by, what's that guy's name? The bad guy?
Maximus or
Monstrous?
What was his name? And I'll remember after the podcast, of course. Humongous. Yes, with the hockey mask.
In a lifted whatever the
with all
Cadillac,
muscular.
in a lifted Cadillac.
Oh, you're talking about the other. Well, anyway, the point is that whether or not you guys like the Tesla Cybertruck, I think we can all agree that it is polarizing.
It is.
And one of the only issues I have with, no, it's many issues, but one issue I have with it is that I like individuality. I like being able to take a vehicle and say, hey, I want a different color. You really can't do that right now with this truck. And so it's very much like in the DeLorean way of doing things. And by the way, there were a limited number of DeLoreans that were painted and they looked awesome. So I'm hoping that down the line, some of you guys out there, and the dude whose friend owns one, which he doesn't because you're lying. Anyway, if your friend owns one, have him get a paint job or even a wrap on it. Because it would be really cool to see what these look like with colors on them. I'm interested.
I'd love to see it,
Yeah.
And of course, DeLorean tried it.
Yeah, well,
Famously.
by then it was already over. Now, I do have a couple extra vehicles I want to add to this
Before
list.
you get to that, I'm going to do a little quick PSA.
Okay.
As a commenter also said that Mr. Musk apparently promised that it's going to have the highest payload of any truck out there. So let me just quickly explain payload to you. So payload is how much weight a truck can hold. Once upon a time, a half ton could hold a half a ton.
Right.
Now, of course, much more than that.
Yeah, sure.
Right. But here's the problem. It also includes everything that comes with the truck. So the problem is that batteries are very heavy. So
They are indeed.
If you have a truck with a payload of X, you have to subtract the weight of the battery from X. And that is why most electric trucks, and I don't think that, once again, even Tesla can escape the physics of this, have really poor payloads because most of the payload capacity of the truck goes to
Already went away to the battery.
all the way with the batteries, Unless Tesla makes some
What was that? We had
unicorn.
Our Lightning, what was it?
Tears. They're very light.
Yeah, if you spit in the back of it, it was too much. And keep in mind that we don't doubt the fact that this probably will be able to tow quite a bit, but the minute you hook up a trailer to it, you're probably at or over your payload once you hook them in, because that's pushing down on the truck. That's payload. Anything that pushes gravity, anything that pushes down on the truck is payload. So keep that in mind when you guys are towing with it.
And usually when you're towing with it, for all you guys out there, you want the tongue weight to be 10% of your payload.
That's usually how it's measured. Yeah.
Or so if whatever payload you have left, take 10% of that, and that's how much tongue weight you can have. And so that limits how big of a trailer, because the bigger the trailer, the more tongue weight you're going to push down on the truck. And if it's a battery-powered vehicle, it's already losing much of that payload to the batteries. Anyway, that's the other PSA.
Speaking of which, we have a wonderful video with the brand new Chevy Silverado EV where Andre is doing several towing tests, and with Case and with other people, and it's all over alltfl.com. Check it out. And I just want to move on because once again, I love the tech that Tesla uses. I am not a fan of some of the other stuff that goes on. I am curious to see whether or not the Cybertruck lives up to the hype, if it's worth the 4-year wait, if it's actually capable of doing what initially it was supposed to, if it's going to float and turn into a boat that I can fish out.
And if you're on the waiting list, which we are, but you get yours early, let us know. We'd love to make you and your truck a YouTube star by actually profiling you on an episode of Doodle of Our Life.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And we will only listen to what you have to say about it, as opposed to letting Roman go on a thing and pointing and going, that's a wrong truck. You get to talk about it. But honestly,
we'll select Andre.
Yeah, we'll have Andre.
You'll get Andre.
Yeah, you'll get Andre. But please be honest. Just stop telling us that you guys own one. There's like one guy who told me he had like 3 Model X's or whatever. Come on. So anyway, let's get on to the end of this list, and we're going to end this whole segment with a couple extra vehicles I wanted to add.
All right, let's see what you guys got.
Okay, so one of them is the Rolls-Royce Cullinan.
Yeah.
Ooh-wee. From the side it looks like a beefy Range Rover, even from the back, but from the front, oh my goodness gracious, why? Why? With the squinty headlights, I know you wanted it to look like a Rolls-Royce, but what an awful decision. I'm sorry. Rolls-Royce doesn't like us anyway, so who cares? Seriously, the Bentley Bentayga looks better, and I don't think that's that great.
Yeah, I agree. It looks better. The Cullinan...
it just looks terrible.
It looks like...
it's like an afterthought. They slapped on the front end with an afterthought, you know?
It looks like the front of a Rolls-Royce slapped on the back of like a van. You know what I mean? It's really weird.
It's disjointed, and I honestly am not a big fan. Another vehicle that I reviewed is the Dodge Hornet. But the Hornet GT with the big wheels and everything, I think looks okay. But the Hornet, the regular ones that come with the standard skinny wheels, looks terrible. It's such a sad design when you don't have the right wheels, tires, and everything else to go with it.
I mean, when you put on those Alfa Romeo kind of like Fonda wheels.
Yeah, then it looks great.
Then it looks really good, yeah.
But and that can be said for a lot of vehicles. But with if you get a regular one, I just think that they look just like an afterthought again. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I know that the Alfa guys are going to say, well, that's because they stole the Tonale and changed it. Yes, you're right, but at the same time, it just doesn't look right.
It's always a problem with badge engineering, Nathan. It's always a problem when you take something and make it into something else. Usually, the design suffers.
And I'm so sad because Dodge built some of the most alluring, fantastic, manly, guttural, awesome cars, rock and roll cars, and then to lead on the new Dodge and say, here it is.
Do you remember when Volkswagen basically badge engineered or basically took the minivan?
The Rotan.
Remember that? That was also...
that was a nightmare. And even Volkswagen admitted, we shouldn't have done this.
Yeah. I think it was a town and country back then, right? It was before the Pacifica.
Well, what happened was they had to stop selling the Eurovan here. They could no longer make it compliant. And so they needed a van to sort of as a stopgap. And so they did this Rotan thing. And it didn't sell very well. And it was dreadful in so many ways. I had to review that van.
Yeah, because you got two companies with very different engineering ideals and ethics, and that are trying to now come together. And you see it in the Supra, same problem, right? It just. I don't even think it works with the Fiat. The Fiat 1.2.
Oh, well, obviously, judging based on the sales of the Fiat.
For a long time, like in the 80s, there was a lot of badge engineering.
Yeah. And in the 70s, even.
And people were like, this does not work. Sometimes it works. I think for a while it worked if it's within the same company. So if you have a Pontiac and a Buick and a Chevy that are basically the same vehicle, I think it can work because it's the same engineers.
Right, you're doing a step up with the interiors, or you're doing a step up with the...
Look at the Tahoe and the Yukon. I think both those work, and underneath they're basically the same car.
Yeah, I agree.
Right? I think that works, but when you have two different companies, and that lesson somehow was forgotten.
Well...
And it's back again, and it's back in full swing, and it's not working. It doesn't work with the Hornet and Denali. It doesn't really work with the Supra and the Z4. You just go down the line. It's just not working.
So the final car on my list, and I'm going to say this caveat, is another one I went out and actually tested this thing, and it's the Honda HR-V. That is the replacement for what I used to think was kind of an inventive, cool little, unusual car, and then Honda replaced it with what I think is kind of a sad, expressionless little car that the front end kind of looks like a Ford Fusion, but with that has a frown instead of a smile. It's just dowdy, and it's a shame because even when they tried to gussy it up at the Tokyo Auto Show, it looked terrible last year. And it's a shame because Honda usually builds, I think, fairly decent looking cars. But the HR-V over the past few years, I would just look at it. Every time I see it, I shake my head. It's just for a happy car market, which is what you want that car to be in, it's a sad car.
Yeah, I don't know. Honda's very conservative, right?
They are conservative, but usually I think that they're good with their aesthetics, and they tend to make what I think are pretty
I
good
think
looking
the Civic
cars.
is really good looking.
I think it's great looking.
Yeah.
I some people don't like the new Accord. I think the new Accord
Accord's
is
grown
alright.
on me.
I like it.
Yeah.
I like the squared off design.
But you're right. It's a little
Just- it's-
staid and a little. Kind
And
of,
if you look at
it's a
the
little too
back,
conservative.
yeah, and it's just kind of dumpy looking, and it's just nothing about it makes me happy.
Droopy.
Exactly. And the old one, the previous generation, was kind of different and dynamic, and it also, actually, frankly, was, I think, a better car, the older one. Anyway, with all that being said,
Hey, I have an idea.
Yeah.
Honda. I've got you know how the designers put up like inspirations on.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Hello Kitty,
I think they've done that in Japan.
or for the new HRV, Hello Kitty.
Do a Hello Kitty version. Oh, okay, with a little kitty thing going on, there you go,
That's a
guys.
free one for you.
those of you who are listening and to the podcast, he's doing a little head bob of the kitty,
And the arm bob.
yeah, and the arm bob.
Hello Kitty. All right, guys. Well, thank you. You've wasted another. I shouldn't say that. I'm stealing that from a car talk.
You wasted another day with us. Thank you.
Yes, you have.
Please let us know in the comments below what you think, not only about this list, but also other vehicles that you think that are currently being built, sold in the United States, that are not very attractive to look at.
Yeah, and remember, 4 wheels for the body, 2 wheels for the soul, Nathan.
And 1 wheel for the psychopath.
All right. Thanks for watching. Check out alltfl.com. See you next time. Ciao.
Bye.